Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Developer Sync. It is the 10th of August 2026, a Monday, rather warm Monday in the UK. And yeah, it's time for our regular Developer Sync. So just get straight into it. So community updates. On the community side, pretty quiet. Farmers are farming. There aren't any big issues with farming. We have been seeing some more community contributions, which of course we love to see. I think Emil's recently put the latest winner information up on the forum post. If contributing to our code base and getting some AI3 for doing so is something that interests you, please do check it out. Okay, first big bit of news we've got there under community updates is Guardians of Growth Season 2. So yes, the Subspace Foundation is planning Season 2 of Guardians of Growth. It's going to begin after Season 1 concludes, targeting around the end of August, around the end of this month. It will involve a further 5 million AI3 being allocated from the near-term treasury, and rewards will be distributed over approximately 12 months, targeting completion around the end of August 2027. Season 1 was a success. For those who don't know, Guardians of Growth is our boosted staking initiative, and Season 1 has been a success insofar as it started. It took us from a standing start and established strong staking participation. The AI3 nominated to operators peaked at over 41 million AI3, really impressive. And currently we have approximately 34 million AI3 committed today, which is around 1/3 of circulating supply. So it's a significant amount. And that's across 400 nominator positions. They're not necessarily unique nominators, because a nominator could have a position against multiple operators, of course, and we have 4 active operators, but 400 positions, 34 million AI3, big numbers. And obviously that all goes to show that the community understands the value of staking, and has responded positively to the well-designed incentives around Guardians of Growth. Why Season 2? So Season 1 was always intended to establish staking participation, while organic network activity and the transaction fees that they would provide developed. And while Guardians of Growth participation has been strong, network usage and fee generation have not yet reached the level we hope to see 1 year after launch. We're the first to admit that. You can see all this on Block Scout. So Season 2 builds on what worked during Season 1, and it's going to give the wider ecosystem a bit more time to grow. Of course, Guardians of Growth is not a substitute for adoption. Sustainable rewards must ultimately come from genuine network usage and those organic transaction fees that we'll see naturally as part of that usage. So how does it work? The mechanics are pretty much unchanged. Why mess with a winning formula? So the foundation submits transactions on auto EVM with tips attached to the operators, and then the protocol itself distributes those tips among the operators and their nominators. Staking remains non-custodial. The foundation has nothing to do with selecting individual recipients. It's all taken care of by the protocol itself. And the technical details are rewards are going to be distributed over approximately 12 months. Cadence and tip size may be adjusted according to block times and network conditions. For those of you who participated in Season 1, will understand that we made an adjustment towards the end of Season 1, which we have to make sure that we're not going to overpromise if our block times don't end up at exactly 6 seconds. So we do reserve the right to adjust that cadence, but the commitment is 5 million AI3 over 12 months, the same as Season 1. And of course, there are no guaranteed returns or fixed APY. If you go to the staking portal, staking.autonomous.xyz, you can see historical APY. Just want to point that out. That is not projected. If you hover, you'll see a little tooltip and it will give you a breakdown. I think it's 1 day, 3 day, and 7 day APY, but there are no guaranteed returns. So as usual, how are we going to maintain transparency? And interestingly, how does this fit with the wider roadmap? So the Auto EVM Vault and the operational wallets are publicly named and traceable on chain. So if you do want to check this out, if you go on the forum in the guides section, there's a post which lists all of the Foundation and Labs wallets, and you'll be looking for the Guardians of Growth Vault. And you will see that that is going to be funded at some point from the near-term treasury, which is another listed wallet. Exactly the same mechanic as season one. And what you'll actually see is that funds transfer from the vault periodically into the operator reward distributor hot wallet. We don't load it up with the whole amount at once, but we have a system in place where we're notified in plenty of time to make sure that it gets funded. So all entirely transparent and traceable on chain. We also we also provide the staking figures in the end of month reports that get sent out. So keep an eye out for those. We'll continue doing that. And of course, staking participation is going to be important when Game of Domains restarts. So we have had questions from the community about Game of Domains. So while permissionless operators, which is one of the end results of Game of Domains, it's one of the things we want to test and shake down and make sure is ready for production. Permissionless operators have been temporarily deprioritized. We've said this before, but they do both remain on the roadmap. So that's Game of Domains and permissionless operators. They're just not, until we see more usage, there are bigger fish to fry. So this season 2 is going to make sure that everyone stays on top of their game and doesn't forget how to stake. More news on Game of Domains hopefully later on. And then, so in conclusion, season 1 is still going to conclude as announced. Season 2 is a new program with a separate council decision and funding allocation attached. No season 3 is currently planned, and any future initiative would require a separate assessment and council decision. So this isn't something that's going to fold into season 3. That is something that would be evaluated towards the end of season 2, if it's something that we'd want to entertain. Hopefully we'll have organic usage by then, of course. So in summary, season 1 generated strong participation. Season 2 gives that successful staking community more time to develop alongside the wider Autonomous ecosystem. We hope you'll all participate. It was great to see the numbers when we did an internal retro on season 1. So please do join us there. So that's the first big bit of news on the community side of things. Something that's kind of straddles community and engineering, in fact, pretty much everything that we're doing at the Foundation and at Labs, is the grants program. So what we've been looking at this recently. We've had a reasonable number of applications, but we haven't had many of them convert. And one of the problems that we've identified is that the current program is structured more to reward software deliverables that don't guarantee usage of the network. Exactly the same problem that we're seeing with the rewards, with the operator rewards. We don't want to fund unused dApps. We don't want to fund empty playgrounds. And a lot of what we see is very speculative with no kind of accountability on the back end. So just to give you a sketch of where we're going here, we are planning to evolve the program based on the experience gained in the first year of operation, and taking a customer first approach. So what does that mean? That means that there's always going to be a clear idea of who is paying for the storage, and that payments reward payments, grant payments are linked to delivering organic usage, with that accountability baked into the structure. So rewards will be based on milestones around is this storing data? Is this storing useful data? Are people using it? Is there recurring usage being applied to the network as part of this grant? So this is something that I'm giving you quite an early look here into it, because unfortunately redesigning the grants program is not a quick task, and it does require deliberate and careful consideration. It also needs buy-in. It needs executive buy-in. The foundation has to approve the changes that we're going to make, which is all going to take a bit of time, I'm afraid. So the process is underway, and we will provide a more meaningful update when we are at the right stage, which hopefully won't be too long. I will keep everyone updated. So yeah, watch this space. Keep an eye out for updates there. They are the two big bits of news that we wanted to share today. Guardians of Growth Season 2, and we are officially reworking the grants program to try and make it more useful for everyone in the ecosystem. Usage is the most important thing for the network at the moment. Any questions, let me know, as always. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Emil, who's going to give us an update on USDC payments in AutoDrive. Is that right, Emil?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Hey everyone. There is, of course, a lot of work that's going into the AutoDrive. So we're constantly improving a lot of things on the back end to make things working smooth. We're also adding a lot of UI improvements, but today specifically, I want to focus on USDC payment and provide you with the current update on that feature. But first, let me just provide you the overview of the feature in a nutshell. Today, we have Pay with AI3, as you all know. So purchasing storage credits is possible with the AI3 tokens that are either farmed or purchased. Now we're adding USDC payment option, USDC on Ethereum, as a second payment method. So that is going to be a stablecoin path for users who do not hold AI3 yet, or who might benefit from this added simplicity. And the way we envision it is that the flow is going to be super simple. You pick USDC at the checkout. We quote you a price in USDC. You approve and pay to a dedicated AutoDrive receiver contract on Ethereum, and your storage credits are granted immediately. The exchange rate from USDC to AI3 is computed and locked onto your purchase at the moment you create it. So what you're quoted is what you pay, and there is absolutely no drift. Behind that quote, the AI3 to USDC rate, it comes from the on-chain market where AI3 actually trades, the Uniswap wrapped AI3 USDC pool. And that's a deliberate choice because it's transparent, it's independently verifiable by anyone, and it reflects prices the market actually filled. And why it matters, of course, requiring AI3 to buy storage means that every new user has to acquire a token before they can try the product. We do have some free tiers. We have 10 megabytes if you sign up with the Google account, but of course that might not be enough for some testing, for some use cases. So we still see that there is a bit of the bottleneck in getting AI3 tokens in order to try to try out AutoDrive. So hopefully USDC removes that step, that bottleneck, and it just adds the simplicity in accessing AutoDrive storage. Now, as for the current state of development, foundation of the feature is done and is merged. So the shared data model, the database schemas for purchases, the AutoDrive USDC receiver smart contract on Ethereum with all the Foundry tests. So everything is ready. What we are working on at the moment is the pricing layer. So that's the Oracle service that has the quote locking logic in intent creation. Recently, a few days ago, we reworked that Oracle, moving from a live pool read to more kind of index trade history approach, because it's more robust. And I'm gonna talk about how this approach works. Other than just watching the immediate price of that pool and doing the conversion right away, we read realized trade history through the index subgraph. and take a volume-weighted average of recent swaps rather than reading a spot price. So one of the a few remaining things, of course, that are still in the work before we can launch that feature is finishing that Oracle, then adding the Ethereum side payment watcher, and of course adding all the front end changes to support the USDC payment alongside some of the admin dashboard and admin insight to make sure that we can keep track of the feature. Of course, alongside the backend work, there is a second parallel track that is just as important, and that's deepening liquidity in the pool. A rate is only as good as the market underneath it, so growing pool depth and making sure that our Uniswap pool is healthy and that there is a trading volume is absolutely a launch prerequisite and not a nice to have. Some of the limitations and guardrails that we're putting in place to make sure that it's safe for both the users and also for the foundation is first of all on pricing, because pool volumes are still building, and that's exactly kind of the thin market where a rate can be pushed around. That's why we, as I mentioned, we don't trust a single price point, but we are introducing this rate volume average pricing. And in order to complete the purchase, the system has to satisfy 4 independent health checks. So what we're checking is the data fresh enough. So that means, has there been like a recent trades and conversions from AI3 to USDC and other way around? Are there enough trades in the window to make sure that we have enough data to make a conversion? Is there enough volume behind them? And if this price sits within the sane absolute limits, if any of these checks fails, the Oracle refuses to quote, and the USDC payment path simply is not offered. On the treasury exposure, for V1, we're deliberately not converting AI3 to USDC to AI3 right away. An operator does it manually on the documented runbook. That is simpler and safer than automated sweeping. Of course, a part of it is also improving admin's visibility. At launch, we'll be monitoring it closely for any manipulations. So we do require some of the additional kind of monitors, alerts, and dashboards. But one thing I want to say, of course, is that one thing is never gated, and that means that if you've paid for the storage, you are getting storage credits. So if you get the USDC quote and pay for it, you're definitely getting the storage credits. In our kind of timeline, this is the highest priority feature. As I mentioned, the foundation is ready. We're just getting polished. We're just adding, and thinking through these guardrails and working on the pricing Oracle at the moment. We are going to take our time and to test the feature properly, a full end-to-end before rolling it out, because payment bugs aren't the kind of bugs that you fix after the fact. So we need to be really careful when we release that feature. But then being said, really excited, and hopefully you will be able to play with the feature and test it pretty soon. And that's it for me on the current state of USDC payment introduction to AutoDrive.
Thanks, Emil. So just another effort. I mentioned this last time we met. These efforts are all designed to make it, the process of using the storage, using our farmers' storage, as frictionless as possible. And yeah, so there's a kind of a whole plethora of risk considerations which we've been working through, and if you want to see this all happening, it's all in GitHub or github.com/autonomous/auto-drive. If you take a look, I think Emil's got an epic in there, and you can see there are I think we're over a dozen PRs that make all this that constitute all the moving parts together. not, I might be overstating it a little bit, but there's a lot going into those. So yeah, if you want to follow along to get a real feel for exactly where we are at the coalface, come and find us in GitHub. And if you've got any questions about any of this, you know, hit us up in all the usual places. So great. Yeah, I can't wait to, sorry, Emil, I'll cut you off there.
No, please go ahead.
I was saying I'm excited to see our first credit support with USDC.
Oh, me too. Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Okay. Right. Thanks, Emil. So, Ved, I'm going to hand over to you to give us an update on developments on the protocol side. And I think you're going to talk a bit about the plotter specifically.
Hey everyone. So the last couple of weeks we've been working on a cross-platform plotter builds, essentially bringing in a more GPU platforms in than we currently support it at this moment. So far, the testings has been very promising, and we are planning to release these builds to the Kronos network in the next coming days or so. Uh, this would This particular builds are essentially a way for us to write a single shaders for different platforms, unlike before where we used to write the shaders for each and every platform. And with this one, we get out of the box the Vulkan support as well, the Metal support as well. So that means we are able to support Mac devices. Right now, we only tested on Mac M1. M2, M3, and M4 can be possible, but we have not had a chance to test that. But this is again a free upgrade for us to actually support on Mac because we kind of moved to a different plotter build that Abundance was building on, which is Nazar's project on a different ideology. But we constantly bring some of the things that he's working on because he's mostly focused on the archiving as well. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much on the protocol side for this DevSync.
Thanks, Ved. So yeah, if Emil's taking friction out of buying or paying for storage and using the space, Ved's working on removing friction on supplying space by making it easier for farmers. And yeah, it's an important thing, or sorry, I should say it's important to point out that this opens us up to kind of inheriting improvements, specifically like performance improvements automatically that are kind of implemented in the implementation that we're integrating here. Thanks, Ved. Okay, there was one thing that I forgot to mention. I'll put the links down below. So yeah, obviously, the Guardians of Growth Season 2 announcement is not just going to go out on DevSync. You can expect that there'll be a forum post, a blog post. It'll go out on our socials. We'll put an announcement up in the community. We're just waiting for some graphics, and that will be coming out hopefully later on. If you're watching this not live later on, then there's a very good chance that the link will be down below. But yeah, do check it out and let us know if you've got any feedback on anything we talked about today. Okay, I can't see any comments or questions from anyone, so I think we'll wrap it. So don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Do comment down below, let us know what you think on today's topics, or find us in Discord, on the forum, wherever you might find us. But most importantly, of course, is keep building with Autonomous. Thanks, everyone.